For 3 years, I fooled an entire kingdom. Then one man looked at my seal, and suddenly I had 5 seconds left to run. The heavy cedar doors of the Sultan's vault slammed shut with a deafening ring, and the chief treasurer's eyes widen as he realizes the wax seal on my royal decree is still wet. Elite guards draw their scimitars, their blades catching the sun as I back toward the balcony, my heart hammering against my ribs. I break into an explosive sprint, vault over a divan, and dive headfirst through the arched window. The hot Moroccan sun hits my face midair as I barely catch the edge of a wooden pergola 3 stories above the street. I swing off the cracking wood and crash through a canvas canopy, landing hard on a pile of woven carpets. Guards spill out of the gates blowing copper whistles, but I scramble up and instantly disappear into the dense marketplace crowd. A year ago, my father, Aram, sat in our crumbling courtyard, his hands shaking as he signed away his last merchant vessel to corrupt tax collectors. Watching his pride break, I realized that without a title, a man is nothing in this desert. That night, I stole a block of fine beeswax and some blank parchment, deciding that if the world demanded a prince, I would carve one. My first forgery was a simple travel pass, stamped with a seal I cut from a plum pit. The city guards didn't just let us through, they bowed, and I discovered the immense power of paper and ink. Soon, I was printing fake promissory notes, wearing tailored silks, and living as Prince Darius of the East. My father laughed for the first time in years, though he warned me that the moment I stopped running, the ground would disappear. But the high life was a drug, and my forged papers soon emptied 3 royal treasuries, drawing the attention of a man who saw right through the illusion. Now, the chase is my only reality as I sprint up a narrow staircase in the heart of the Medina. Behind me, the heavy boots of the Sultan's elite guards stomp in unison, their shadows lengthening against the white walls. I leap across a 4-foot gap between flat roofs, landing in a roll on a terrace of drying red peppers. The old woman gasps as I vault her table, scattering spices into a red cloud that blinds the guards behind me. Sliding down a clay-tiled roof, my fingers claw at the hot clay before I launch myself toward a dangling clothesline. The rope snaps, swinging me across the street to crash through the wooden shutters of a spice warehouse. Rolling through heaps of cumin, I scramble to the opposite window and drop silently into a dark alley below. Waiting in the main avenue is Inspector Malik, the cold, observant hunter who has tracked me across 3 continents. He doesn't run, he walks with a calm, methodical pace, examining a blue-inked stamp on a confiscated cargo manifest. Malik knows my work, my choice of paper, and the tiny gap I always leave in the fort's royal crest. Looking up, his eyes lock onto the far corner of the street, knowing exactly where a flying thief must eventually land. I slip through the heavy brass doors of a quiet riad, where the sound of a trickling fountain masks my ragged breathing. Yasmin, the court physician's daughter, stands by the water, her hands trembling slightly as she hands me a plain wool cloak to hide my ruined silks. I take her hand, feeling a rare moment of genuine warmth, and promise her this will be my last run. Unaware of the subtle tremor in her grip, she avoids my eyes, quickly slipping a folded parchment into my sleeve, a palace dispatch she claims to have intercepted. I scan the elegant script, learning that Malik has blocked the harbor and authorized lethal force. But the letter also mentions a massive gold shipment arriving at the Kasbah tonight. If I can forge the release papers for that bullion, I can secure our escape and buy my father's freedom. It is a suicide mission, but looking at the looming fortress, I realize I have to play one last card. Midnight fog blankets the docks as I slip past the guards, disguised as a royal cargo inspector. I present my forged release document to the harbor master, pitching my voice to sound like arrogant royalty. The harbor master hesitates, raising the parchment to a flickering lantern to inspect the wax seal. Before his quill can touch the page, Malik steps out of the shadows of the wooden crates. "A beautiful seal, Darius," Malik said softly. "But the real Sultan's crest has 7 stars, not 6. My breath hitches, and harbor guards instantly level their muskets at my chest. Malik steps closer, offering me a peaceful surrender, his calm voice carrying no anger. He looks at me, genuinely studying my young face, waiting for me to yield. I calculate the distance to the dark water and the speed of a musket ball. With a swift kick, I shatter the oil lantern on the table, plunging the office into darkness as fire ignites on the wood floor. Muskets blast blindly in the smoke as I dive through the back door and sprint toward the outer wall. But as I hit the street, I see a royal carriage speeding away, surrounded by guards, and my stomach twists with dread. They have my father. I run to our secret safe house, only to find the door splintered open and the room empty. On the floor lies my father's silver watch, its glass cracked, a reminder of the honest life I threw away. Malik knew my only weakness, anchoring a bird that spent its life in the air. I fall to my knees, the weight of my selfish lies crushing me in the silent room. A shadow crosses the threshold, and I look up to see Yasmin, her eyes red, her hands shaking just as they did at the Riyadh. "They forced me, Darius," she whispers, tears spilling over. "They said they would hang your father if I didn't lead them to the safe house." I stand up slowly, the anger in me dying as I face the wreckage of my own making. I gently take her hands, forgiving her with a silent nod, recognizing that my beautiful lies have ruined everyone I love. Hearing the whistles of approaching guards, I press my father's watch into her hand, tell her to run, and turn toward the fortress. I burst onto the high ramparts of the Marrakesh Kasbah, torches flickering wildly in the cold wind. Guards pour from the watchtowers, creating a wall of steel that cuts off any escape. I climb onto the stone parapet, looking down at the 80-foot drop into the rocky moat below. Malik steps onto the rampart, his musketeers lining up beside him with weapons raised. "Nowhere left to jump, Darius," Malik calls out over the wind, keeping his men from firing. "Your father is on his way to the northern mines, but you can save him. Forge for the Sultan, and you both live." I look at Malik, recognizing the golden cage he is offering me. But a prince, even a fake one, cannot survive in a cage. I look at the distant skyline of the city, smiling as a free, genuine laugh escapes me. I am not Darius of Persia, and I never was. I slam a smoke bomb at my feet, enveloping the rampart in a thick, gray cloud. Muskets fire in a blinding volley, but I am already sprinting along the narrow ledge of the outer wall. A guard lunges with a spear, but I duck, grab his arm, and vault over his shoulders. I leap toward a wooden crane, catching the thick hemp rope as it unravels under my weight. The crane swings out over the massive gap, wood groaning under the sudden tension. At the peak of the arc, I hang suspended between the sky and the rocky earth. I let go of the rope, launching myself across the chasm toward a lower watchtower. I crash onto the clay tiles, sliding down the curve while clawing the stone to slow down. Falling off the edge, I catch a heavy iron tapestry rod, which bends but holds. I swing through an open gallery, rolling hard across the stone floor to break my fall. I scramble to my feet, bruised and bleeding, but completely free. Malik rushes to the edge of the fortress wall, staring across the impossible gap in sheer disbelief. I look back, raising my hand in a final theatrical salute to the man who almost caught me. Turning on my heel, I dive into the labyrinth of the lower Medina, vanishing into the shadows. Weeks later, the port of Tangier is packed with travelers boarding ships for the New World. Malik sits alone at a harbor cafe, staring tiredly at the endless blue horizon. The waiter places a small copper coin on his table as change, and Malik's eyes lock on to the metal. He turns the coin over to find a tiny, hand-carved star stamped perfectly in the center, and laughs out loud, knowing the prince is already gone.